I'm going to call Newton.
Oh, no. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Tony. Nice to
Have you eaten?
Chiller. Thanks very much.
You have a seat, please.
Thank you.
Well, I want to ask you about your experience of cars in China. Do your friends ever pick you up in a limousine?
Actually, I do get picked up in limousines and long wheelbase cars. But I have to say, in Europe, it's not a normal thing. In Europe, what we do is we say, I'll see you there, and we just take our own car and we make our own way to the location.
Right. Culture shock, I think. I know you Western people have a very strong sense of boundaries, while we are very warm-hearted. Extended wheelbase enables a significantly improved feeling of legroom. Now high status friends are back. Therefore, long wheelbase reminds me of capacity and comfort. Well, in China, you can't sell well unless you got a significant wheelbase.
All of these things are so different, and I think until you've lived in China, you don't really understand the differences between one standard of driving and another standard of driving. I know that in China the scenarios of use are slightly different. For example, having a car which you arrive at a location, you pick up your friends or your possible neighbours. Yeah, you know, this idea of the car being used as a part of a dialogue about business, and this idea of the long wheelbase, the limousine, is really important to the Chinese context because it means so much. It's important when European companies are designing cars for China that they have to localize them. Companies that don't get on board with an understanding of how important China is as a market, they will be left behind. You know, the sports sedan, the sort of what we call the short wheelbase, is useful in Europe because European roads are different. It's about mountain roads, the long drive, and the short arrival, you know, arriving in a town, finding somewhere to park and getting parked easily. You'll notice that the trend is towards smaller, more compact cars.
There's been a considerable consideration of how cars fit into German context.
Yeah, I think not every company will understand the importance of localization. And in fact, to them, it's a bit of an odd thing to consider the design of a mid-sized sedan and then to consider the design of a long wheelbase.
So here comes a new strategy of German brands. A5L is developed in parallel with A5 sedan. They're all designed by one designer in Germany. A5L is exclusively designed for Chinese scenario.
Yeah, you know, talking about the design team, you've got Jakob Herzl, who was mentored by Walter de Silva. Why it's having the success that it's having is because the lineage, the heritage, if you like, is there in the design team. You know, particularly with the A5, they've maintained this sort of low center of gravity. It has a very dynamic aesthetic. I think one of the things about the A5L is still sporty, still as aesthetically pleasing to look at as the sedan. You know, the standard proportions of the Audi are still there.
Audi's design philosophy.
Yeah, absolutely. On some cars or some companies who've attempted to do this, they don't look entirely convincing. They're not. The aesthetic choices that have been made don't really fit with either the brand or the history of the brand or the history of that particular model.
Exactly. New A5 is now abandoning the frameless doors. How do you think about it?
It's really important to keep your product under review, to keep re-evaluating your product. We are very interested in the industrial design process, in the fundamentals of design, you know? Bringing things back to the fundamentals. Is it good for the user? Is the interaction good? maybe last of all comfort. The issue of noise is actually one of comfort. If your car is noisy going down the motorway, you're not comfortable. This issue of the frameless door tells a story about how sensitive Audi is to the user experience.
So, you're still firmly against the extended wheelbase sedan?
If you consider that the Chinese context is different, then you're truly understanding why Audi have done this. They've not only changed the car, but they've considered it from the very, very beginning. The A5 and the A5L. So it's not about being against it or being for it. It's about understanding how special it is and how groundbreaking it is for a company to do this. So sporty and extended is has a negative kind of twist to it. Comfortable and extended is much more positive. It makes much more sense. We mustn't tip it one way or the other way. I think we just have to say it's the extended concept is much more neutral.
Quite reasonable.
Very reasonable, yes. Some people talk about the size of the car affecting its flexibility, that the long wheelbase affects the flexibility of the car.
Some people say long wheelbase is underpowered, but I have to say it got enough power to tenderize an elephant.
I'm not sure about that. I'm going to call Newton.
Oh, no. What lovely weather.
Do we ever compare mice and elephants? Should we compare these two kinds of animals? I think the same is true when you're talking about size and flexibility. You shouldn't really bring them into the same equation or formula.
How true. You are persuasive.
Thank you. You are too. Next time, you take the A5 sedan, I'll take the A5L.
Perfectly.
And we'll see if they match up to our expectations.
Marvelous. By the way, don't forget your phone.
Okay, thank you very much.